Tarkov has 166 guns, and some are good, some are bad, but today I want to focus on the ones that are just silly. As I'm sure is much to the joy of my audience, today I will be spoiling you with not one, but two different types of graphs. The first of which measures the price, efficacy, style, disrespect, and memeability of each weapon, and the other is the pyramid of silly. As I have already made an entire video on the MP18, I feel like this is a good place to start. The MP18 is a single-shot shotgun chambered in a rifle round. I don't know how that works, but something about Russian gun legislation. As a single-shot weapon, it is inherently funny because if the enemy is at all close to you and you miss your one opportunity, then the only thing you can really do is sprint around in a circle as you reload and hope the other person is aiming with a trackpad. That being said, this weapon does have the saving grace of its ammo in the fact that 7.62x54R, with the proper bullet, can pen basically anything in the game. Dropping geared players with a boomstick that costs less than 2 bottles of water is immensely disrespectful. It's funny, it's disrespectful, it's fairly effective, and it's cheap. The only place this weapon is lacking is style, because it looks like a paddle. It is not an attractive weapon. Please, Battlestate, give me one with engravings. I desire the tactical advantage that engravings provide. On the pyramid of silly, it sits around here. Sure, it's pretty dumb, however, it's still very useful, especially since it counts for setup now. Moving on to the low-hanging fruit of Tarkov's meme weapons, we have the Taz 106. The Taz is not a good gun. In the hands of a normal Tarkov player, it might be able to kill a common housefly. A low rate of fire, small magazines, and piss-poor penetration make this one of the worst weapons in the game. And it is for that exact reason that it is the weapon of choice for Tarkov's silliest soldiers. If one dies while using a Taz, yeah, that's the expected outcome. But if one is killed by the Taz, that's pretty embarrassing. As it is the only weapon that uses 20x70 in the game, if someone is killed by it, there is no way for them to deny that they just got dunked on by a piece of crap weapon. They can't hide from the truth that they just got humiliated, and for that reason, the Taz maxes out the disrespect category. On the pyramid of silly, it mostly gravitates towards the bad corner, but we love it nonetheless. Finishing up our shotguns, we have the double barrels. Or, I'm sorry, the MP-43-1C. The double barrels are not good weapons. Sure, the MP18 might have only had a single round. However, it fired a rifle round. If you miss at 50 yards, you can run away. Unfortunately, with the double barrel, you kinda have to get close to your enemy, and if those first 2 blasts of buckshot do not immediately drop them, you're kinda just screwed. Even with a Taz, you at least have 5 chances, so for the efficacy of a double barrel, it's a 1. That being said, they are stylish weapons and are perfect for memeing with cowboy loadouts. Especially the sawed-off, getting a kill with that thing is a better feeling than your strongest narcotic could produce. Best of all, you are dumpstering people who are wearing modern combat gear with a weapon system from 1851. Again, immensely disrespectful. As for the pyramid, both sit firmly in the bad silly corner, however the sawed-off does move a tiny bit more towards stupid. But what epitomizes stupid on the pyramid? That would be the Theblicky. The Theblicky is a toy pistol that does a whopping 1 damage per disc. Each of these discs has a range of approximately, I don't know, like 9 feet. Its efficacy, 0. Its style, 0. It is not an attractive weapon. But its disrespect and memeability are both 5. If you shoot at somebody with the Theblicky, you are telling them, I could not give the slightest shit about you as a player. If you are killed by this, I don't tell people to uninstall games that often, but I do have a list of fantastic single-player games that you might be interested in. The other hilarious thing about this gun is that the discs do impact with the same noise as a regular bullet, so shooting at somebody from a bush and having the bullets land all around them and watching them completely panic is some of the most fun you can have in this game. A weapon in the same category as the Theblicky is the flare pistol. The flare pistol can actually do a decent amount of damage, so a kill with it is a lot less far-fetched. That being said, it's still extremely unlikely. Again, efficacy 0, but disrespect to the max. Think about what you are doing when you shoot a flare at somebody. Not only do you announce that this fight means nothing to me at all, I do not care, but also you are drawing a lot of attention to their position on the map. If you really want to screw with somebody, go on to night raids on woods, shoreline, lighthouse, any map with that's, pretty wide open and has a lot of snipers just looking around, and then just shoot flares at people. Not only do you burn out their retinas with a flare that has been placed squarely in front of their night vision, but also you are signaling to every greedy little sniper on the map, hey, there's a guy over there, look that way. This is the weapon of choice for people who just want to create chaos, and that is really fun to do. As for the pyramid, the flare gun is only slightly less stupid than the blicky. Now let's talk about pistols that can actually kill things. The Kopar Rhino. Not good. Low capacity, slow reload. Apparently, speed loaders are advanced alien technology from the 1870s that haven't made their way to Tarkov yet. However, it can actually kill things, so we'll give it an efficacy of 2. That being said, style is where this thing really shines. If someone is rocking a Kopar Rhino, they are LARPing with a cowboy loadout, and it will always have the wooden grip. This is because they desperately want a Colt Python to be added to the game, but they are willing to work with this in the meantime. Excellent for LARPing, bad as a weapon, it's gonna join the double barrels in the corner. Rounding off pistols is the bigger brother of the Rhino, the RSH-12. Sure, it shares many of the same issues as the Rhino, namely a low capacity and slow reload. However, it can also delete somebody's chest. PS12B can pen most of the armors in the game and does a whopping 102 damage. I feel as though this makes a rather compelling argument for its viability in serious play. Because of this, you do see it more often used outside of cowboy kits, but every person who is using it is definitely humming or singing Big Iron throughout their raid. It's a fairly effective weapon, meaning that it's less of a humiliation to die from, but it's still very stylish and fun. On the pyramid, it sits halfway between the good and stupid corners. Not the most versatile, but still hits like a freight train. The RPD is one of the most underappreciated weapons in Escape from Tarkov, and I feel like it's because a lot of people just don't really know how to use it. Will I elaborate? No, because that sounds like an excellent idea for a future video series. How to use Tarkov's silliest weapons. Anyways, with a 100 round capacity, a high rate of fire, relatively cheap ammo, controllable recoil, and the fact that it cannot jam, the RPD was practically built for shenanigans. The level of disrespect depends heavily on how it is used. If you are trying to use it like an assault rifle with a high capacity, you're doing it wrong. If you are dumping ammo like it's being paid for with taxpayer dollars, you're doing it right. Pre-firing someone a solid 6 seconds before you clear the corner is both hilarious and disrespectful. Irons on this thing are practically useless, so we shall be employing accuracy by volume of fire. When used in this way, it's surprisingly effective. On the pyramid, it's a little closer to stupid than good, but I reiterate, fairly effective weapon when used properly. The M60 is weird. It's too heavy and cumbersome to really compete with any of the battle rifles, but its high capacity can be abused in a very similar way to the RPD, and again, it cannot jam. That being said, there are some rather silly elements of this weapon in Tarkov. For example, it is very accurate. With the standard length barrel, the M60 is more accurate than the M1A, TX15, and the SR25. When the extended barrel is attached to it, it becomes more accurate than the SVD and G28. There are a lot of things wrong with what I have just said. I have no idea what kind of voodoo magic is at work here that makes a belt-fed machine gun from the Vietnam War a more accurate weapon system than modern precision rifles, but it does single-handedly bump up its meme rating. This gun is very effective, especially against squads of people. Just when they think that you have run out of ammo, you pop around a corner with another 50 rounds to spread some joy. Simply hold down the trigger, point it in the general direction of the enemy, and they won't be able to move for the next, 10 seconds. This weapon earns 4s across the board, except for price. She is She's a material girl, and keeping her fed is an undertaking. On the pyramid of silly, the fact that you can strap any type of sight to a base model M60 does make it significantly more versatile than the RPD, so it goes slightly more towards the good corner. Now, I know you're probably thinking that the PKM is next, and you'd be wrong about that. Why? Well, because the PKM is unobtainium, and it's hard to be goofy with a gun you can't get your hands on. So instead, we shall move on to SMGs. The standard Uzi doesn't have a lot going for it. Sure, it's inexpensive, but for just a tiny bit more, you can get an MP5, which has a higher rate of fire, better modularity, and is lighter overall. So why would you ever use the Uzi? Well, first of all, it's the Uzi. It's cool, immediate 5 points for style. But the true saving grace of this weapon is the combination of its semi-phallic 100-round magazine and the fact that it cannot jam. It also has the recoil of an airsoft gun, so you can laser beam people down from a surprising distance. It is a headshot machine. Sure, it may only be shooting 9mm, but you can still suppress people because they still don't want to get shot, and again, vaguely putting rounds in their general direction with something that is as controllable as this means that a lot of those bullets are gonna end up roughly where you want them to go. Yes, I'm telling you to use this thing like an LMG. Flexing on people with the Uzi is always a good feeling. It gets a 3 for efficacy, a 3 for disrespect, and a 4 for memeability. On the pyramid, it sits dead center between the 3 extremes. It ain't good, it ain't bad, and it ain't stupid. It's just goofy. I do want to briefly mention the Uzi Pro because I know somebody is going to ask about it, and the only thing that is silly about the Uzi Pro is how disgustingly easy it is to make, considering that it is one of the best SMGs, if not one of the best weapons in the game right now. A disgusting rate of fire, disgusting ergo, and it's all very inexpensive. It has transcended both charts, and I kind of hate it because holy hell, you cannot do factory raids anymore without at least 2 of these guys ripping you to shreds. Why is it so cheap for how good it is? Finally, I want to discuss the MP5K. If someone sees you using the MP5K, they just ask you, why? Specifically because it confuses people is why I use it. Also, I used it a lot when I was playing Black Ops 1 like 13 years ago. It was cool then, it's cool now, 4 style points. I'm aware that I can get a standard MP5 that is better in every way for slightly more, but flexing on someone with this short little monstrosity and leaving them perplexed as to why the hell that is the weapon you are using is what makes this gun so silly. It gets a 3 for disrespect, a 4 for the memes, and a 3 for efficacy. On the pyramid, it definitely leans more towards stupid, but it's a good time nonetheless. And that will about do it. I will be making a series of videos where I go more in depth on these weapons and how to use them, because that just sounds like a lot of fun. If you are watching this video right as it came out, then I am currently live on Twitch. I will also be going live on Twitch tomorrow, probably around 5 p.m. And I will also be live on Sunday around 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So be sure to drop by and say hello. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, especially all the way to the end of the video, and I hope you enjoyed.